Hey, just before we get started, this is a conspiracy, paranormal, and true crime podcast.
The nature of this podcast is gory, unsettling, and definitely vulgar.
And we curse a lot.
Like a lot.
So be advised.
That we're just two idiots with a mic.
Because I literally have everything for them. Yo, and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Morgan. And this is episode 107.
107.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good morning and happy Thursday.
Good morning. Oh, yeah, it is morning for you guys. Oh, my God. And you have to listen to us fucking bitch right in the beginning of your morning.
What a way to start the day.
Wow.
That's how I start my day every single day, with negativity.
Love it. It feels so good.
I wake up every morning and I'm like, why did I wake up?
Why did I do this? You know what? By the way, I don't know if I'm going to edit that out, but the conversation that was caught on the tail end of the, very beginning of before we said the yo, was us talking about nails and how much I can do Morgan's nails.
Yeah.
I could. I mean, I haven't.
Okay, I believe you, but here's the thing. So one time, I think I've told you the story, and maybe I've said it on the podcast. I don't know. But I got my own, like, acrylic set, like, with the whole, like, shebang. And I know yours is gel, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so I got my first acrylic set, and I was in my room, and I was with one of my good friends when we were younger, and we were just, like, pounding out nails. Like, we were obsessed with it, and you know, that's those fumes. You have to have a window or in a large space. I had a 2x4 bedroom when I was younger, until I stole Marley's room. Anyway,
sorry, Marley.
Not sorry, but not sorry. So one time my parents came in there, or later that night they came in and they opened the door and they were like, my dad lost his mind. What are you doing in here? He's like, you're gonna be high as fuck. He's like, you gotta have that window open. Give me that shit. He was so pissed. I didn't know what high meant.
Yeah.
I was like, what did I do wrong? I was just doing my nails. But it was just so like
Well,
just
were y'all
like,
okay?
I think.
You probably lost a few fucking brain cells.
I mean, we probably were high as fuck.
Yeah, you probably were fully.
But yeah, anyway, so I've never done my nails since then on my own. But
yeah, this one doesn't have any like chemicals like that, like nothing that smells. But I can't do them on myself. I could likely do them on yours way better than mine, but I, you know, that last time that I tried to do them Patreons, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's right before I went to California and had a mental breakdown doing my nails, and I'm crying on that vlog that I made at the end. And I'm like, okay, I'll see you guys later. It's 2 a.m.
I don't even want to.
We take off in an hour. I'm sobbing on there. Anyways, yeah, so I did them there, but it's so hard to do to yourself. But during that panic attack that ensued from me trying to do my own nails, I actually dumped the correct stuff that like adheres it to your nails. It's not glue. It's like the gel adhesive. Yeah, I dumped it everywhere on our desk. Had to clean it up like so fast because it dries so fucking fast. And that fueled the crying. And then after that, I glued the rest on with regular nail glue.
They were so thick and lumpy.
They were awful. They had like chunks in them because you can't smooth it out to yourself.
But what you have on right now is my favorite I've ever seen you in.
Yeah, this is that same stuff. It's literally the exact same color and everything. Yeah.
And also, I do have to brag a little bit. I bought some stick-ons, or not stick-ons, press-ons from Shein. What do you say?
I say I don't say.
I say Shein, like it's in style. She's in style. Shein. There's no way it's actually Shein.
I think I've said Sheen or Shin.
Like there's no way it's Shein,
or
right?
typically I'm like, you know,
but maybe I'm just like in such denial because it's giving Jimmy Neutron.
But why would they call it Sheen? Like what for why?
Like Shein.
Yeah, like I understand why Shein, like she's.
But why would they call it Shein exactly?
Like is that the name of the founder? Sheen?
Maybe we should look it up how to pronounce it. Anyway, so I got all of these press-ons. They're like $1.50, $2.50, and they're actually gorgeous and they're pretty thick and they're
really nice.
Honestly, they've held up the best, better than the $9 ones at Walgreens or Ulta. So
right.
I'm here for them.
Yeah, I really love them.
And they're cute.
They are so cute. I really love them.
Anyway, loving them.
Yeah.
Should I tell them about Ollie today?
Oh, yep, you should. This is great.
Okay, so how long have his ear infections been going on? A month now?
Since
2 months?
the day you got engaged.
Since July. So Ollie's had these like awful yeast infections and I can't seem to get any control over them. So yesterday on my way here, I called the vet and I was like, look, like whatever I have doesn't seem to be working. I have Automax or something like that. And it's just like this like ear like ointment and you like has this really long like stem and you stick it in the ear and you squeeze a generous amount. Well, he fucking hates it.
Right, of course.
He's like I'm like, whoa.
Bro.
And then of course I take him to the vet and the vet gives him a little dose and he's just so perfect. I'm like, no, he doesn't do that with me.
No.
So anyway, I'm on my way here yesterday and I call the vet and I'm like, do you guys have like maybe an oral like medication or maybe a stronger ointment? I said, it just doesn't seem to be working. I can't really get any control over it. It's coming back. It's going away. It's coming back. So they end up calling me back later that night because she had to talk to the vet and the vet was like, well, what we can do is you can bring him in and we have a pretty like strong medication, ear flush, or not flush, but ear wash that we can give him, but we have to administer it here. It's not something you can do at home. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, you know, we're going to out of town this weekend. So just give me a couple
like doses.
No, I was just like, let me do the ointment for
I forgot
until Monday and then we'll reevaluate where he is. Okay, great, sounds good. So I come actually at work this morning. I see on my Furbo, I would keep getting your dog's chewing notices.
God.
And I'm like, oh my God. So I get on there and he loves my scrunchies. So I think he's eating this scrunchie and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But I'm also on there, I'm like, no, put it down. Drop it. And he's like playing with the Furbo, like going crazy. And
Psycho.
like my coworkers are over there like, oh, look a monkey. And
oh my God.
He was just going nuts, right? So I was like, oh, whatever. He's fine. It's just a scrunchie. Well, I get home today. It was not just a scrunchie. It was the freaking ear ointment, everything. The aluminum tubing that it was in, gone. He ate it. The only thing left was the very top of the tube, the needle, not the needle, but like the
injector
of the tube. Everything, the contents inside of it were gone. Everything was gone. So I call the vet and I'm like, remember that really funny story I was telling you about yesterday, like trying to get some help? I was like, well, apparently Ollie decided to take measures into his own hands and he wanted to, he hates it. And I told him he hates it and that I wanted an oral. I was like, he wanted to eliminate the problem. So he ate it. And guys, there's no way it could have been good. Like he did that out of spite. He did that because he was like, fuck you think you gonna put this in my ear again? Bitch, I'll destroy it. Like literally, that's what he did.
Eats a fucking aluminum.
There's no way it's medicine.
First off, the medicine has to be like so nasty and salty and like, ugh. And then you know that aluminum tastes like when you chew on a fork, like a cheap fork.
Yeah. And like, what was he did that out of spite.
Yeah.
He did that so that I could not put it in his ear again. He's smart. He's smarter than he looks. Is he an idiot? Yes. But he is also so freaking smart. And it's so funny because Taylar and I just had this conversation prior about like well-behaved dogs. And she's like, you know, Ollie and Odie, they're super well-behaved. And I'm like, yeah, he really is, isn't he? I'm so proud of my boy. Like, I'm just...
we were so hyping that motherfucker up.
We were!
On the phone. And then she goes, now to see what he chewed up. I'm like, what is it? And then she goes, oh my God.
I gotta go. I gotta call the vet.
I'm like, great. All right, call me back.
Like we thought.
And I was literally just talking about why I will never get a dog. and then I was like, you know, like I like Ollie and Odie, you know, because y'all take good care of them. They don't fuck around. I can tell them no.
They're obedient.
They're obedient. They're good. They don't fuck things up.
They don't tear into things.
Unless it's their own toys or medicine, apparently.
Spoke too soon.
Yeah, it's done.
But I think he's just genuinely mad at me because I haven't been home so much because he doesn't tear into things. And yesterday he had this whole entire cardboard box teared up. Now he's tearing up his medicine. Like he's pissed.
Well, he's going to be tired of you. He's going to start tearing up shit so you'll leave again whenever you get back.
I know.
Yeah. For our
but
little break.
He'll have a fun weekend. He'll get to see
he'll
Coda.
get to go home and play in a big field.
And roll his neck in cow shit.
Yum, my fave.
So what are you doing this weekend?
Oh my God, speaking of Furbos.
Guys, we're still in season 2.
Yeah, we're still in season 2. So very interesting about Furbos.
Oh, Ron.
So, you know, like she was saying, like it sends you notifications based off of what's going on. So it's like your animal is running. You know, mine says your dog. I have the cats on there. That's the only reason I have it.
Chewing,
the
eating,
dogs,
barking,
right.
howling, growling. Yeah.
Exactly. Or like spotted or selfie, and it's when they're like up in the cam. So you get notifications for a lot of things, and you get them for people, and you get them for fire alarms.
Yeah, you do.
So the other night, Logan asked me if I would make his favorite soup that I make, which is chicken and rice, creamy lemon soup. And it's really good, and you can get it from this restaurant called Demas in Nashville, and that's where I like copied the recipe from. But I didn't want to use rice in it. I wanted to use orzo because I had a bunch left from that amazing
Oh my God!
salad.
Why didn't you
Wait,
make that
we didn't
for me
know.
today?
We never told them about that.
Oh my God! I need it right now.
Okay, we're gonna come back to this. Don't let us forget.
Do we have the ingredients?
We have well, I don't think I have a cucumber, and I don't
Send
think I
his
have a tomato.
ass to the store.
I know. I think he got pizza. I don't know what he did.
Oh my God!
So, anyways, blah blah blah. It tells you stuff. All right. So I had all this orzo, and I was like, well, I'd rather use this instead of rice. So I'm cooking that, and then I found the rest of this big baguette that I had gotten. So I was like, oh my God, let me make fresh croutons to go in this soup. So I start doing that, and then once I put them in, I like drench them in oil and then salt and pepper and parsley and all the things, and then I put them into the oven on broil on 400 for like 5 minutes. Like that's at the most, okay?
Yeah.
So anyways, I do that, and then I get done, I'm mixing it up, and I'm like, you know what would be great with this is grilled cheese. Like a grilled cheese sounds great. So then I start making a grilled cheese, and I had forgotten about the bread that was in the oven.
Oh no.
And all of a sudden I start smelling something burning, and it's like not a good burning smell, like a burning, like something's about to fucking explode in your house burn.
It is on fire.
And it's like a metal burn, like a metallic burn. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I thought maybe like I had dropped something on the stove where I was making the soup. So I'm like smelling around. I'm looking around.
Something fell to the bottom of the oven.
Right. I'm
like
looking
that.
around on the stove because I forgot about the oven. And then the oven goes beep, 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 beep. Fire. Naturally, I rip open the oven, which you're not supposed to do, by the way.
Oh yeah, because all the oxygen out here.
Because fire just whoosh when it does that. But luckily, I was thinking fast on my feet, duck down, still have my hair, my eyebrows, and my eyelashes. Thank God. So I bust down. It's like literally flames and black smoke coming out of it faster than I can even get back up to my feet. I grabbed the thing out of the oven with a mitt. Thank God I thought to get a mitt, because I mean sometimes in panics you just grab it. I run it outside.
Like
I
Logan.
set it on the yes, like Logan. I set it down on the concrete. I run back inside. At this point, the fire alarm starts going off. Nona runs out of the fucking house and is running, bitch.
She's like, I'm fucking out of here.
Like run, Forrest, run type shit. I have to chase her ass down, so the fire alarm's going off. So Logan had gone golfing or something, and I was like, let me handle the dinner. I've been busy the last few days. Let me handle it. I haven't cooked for you in a while. Okay. He gets a notification from the Furbo. Fire. Because it smells the smoke, apparently.
Yeah.
He starts calling me. I'm chasing Nona down the street. Grab Nona, bring this bitch back. The fire alarm's going off. My neighbor's like standing outside. I'm like, I'm good. And I'm like fanning everything. My house has no circulation. It's just standing. So then I had to go get my box fans and set them in a way that I would direct all the smoke out of the house.
Out the door,
Out of a window. After I do that, then I have to go back with another cookie sheet and start fanning all the fire alarms, except for, what I mean by that is the 2 that have survived, because I keep unplugging them because I can't stand the motherfuckers. They beep all the time. But yeah, anyways, that was my Furbo story. It was very embarrassing.
I love that. Oh my God. I think if Aaron saw a notification that said fire, he would probably, like, I know Logan reacted right. Like, I know he did. Aaron would be like this. Hey, something's going on with the Furbo. I think it's saying there's a fire. Is everything okay?
Are you good? But you know what? That's actually probably good to have in a partner. Like, if your kids ever get injured, he's going to be like,
it's cool.
It's like, oh man, damn, that looks bad. And then you're like, oh my God, holy shit.
I need to go to the hospital.
We have to call the ER immediately.
Book our appointment at the ER.
I wonder which one Logan or I will be. Logan is for sure a panicker.
I do think so, but I think you'll panic.
I'm definitely a panicker, but at the same time, like, I'm pretty chill in an emergency, you know?
Yeah.
And my mom's like that. My mom's like, oh, it's all Gucci. It's all good. We're fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, but I know you, I can see you. You are like that, but you would immediately call me and be like, oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God. Little Joe Schmo. Just.
Definitely not Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo Fetzner. Wow. You want to know what sounds like a fucking villain name? That
Little
one.
Joe Schmo Fetzner.
That sounds like
I love it.
The next person we'll see headlining. Like,
Dewey, Louie, and Huey. That's what my dad told Pearlie. He was like, yeah, man. So whenever my sister's fiance asked my dad to marry Marley, my dad was like, yeah, man, for sure. You're already part of the family. I can see little Huey, Dewey, and Louie already playing around right now.
No. Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, let's get this party started. If you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get creepy.
Now, you've heard us talk about an Acquired Taste podcast, but did you know that they have a bonus podcast?
It's called The Check-In, and it's hosted by an Acquired Taste host, Bethany Watson, and her partner, Dennis Kahlo.
Bethany and Dennis work together as he is a filmmaker and photographer, and she is an actress, meaning not only do they work together, but they live together. And sometimes when you're around each other that much, you need to check in.
Facts. Each episode of The Check-In starts with the How'd We Do This Week segment, during which they grade themselves and each other on how they handled different aspects of their relationship over the past week. Then they sometimes play a game like, how would they escape if they were in a zombie apocalypse? Or, would you still love me if...
I love that game. Bethany and Dennis are very open and raw about their relationship, their personal struggles like mental health, communication, and past relationships, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They are by no means professionals or experts, just a weird couple who loves working together and wants to share their journey and lessons that they're learning along the way with their listeners.
The Check-In releases every other Friday on the Acquired Taste podcast feed. So if you want to listen, subscribe to an Acquired Taste wherever you get your podcasts, and the Check-In will automatically pop up.
Okay, Morgan, tell us what you have for us today.
Today we're going to do something a little special. We're going to be celebrating the National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yes, so we have picked cases that were recommended to us by our listeners that highlight Hispanic culture.
And they're pretty cool cases.
No, they're really dope.
Before we start, though, I just wanted to announce the theme, which not announced because it's been going on since September 15th.
Yes.
But the theme for the Hispanic Heritage Month is Unidos and Inclusivity for a Stronger Nation, which is beautiful.
That is really awesome.
It's gorgeous.
And we are catching it right on the end of it because I believe that it's from September
15th to October 15th.
Yep. So anyways, I'm really excited about this today. The case I have for you guys is really, really good.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so I'm going first.
Yeah, go ahead, bitch.
All right, so located in Arequipa, and this whole entire time I have my pronunciations in here, but again, I'm not fluent in Spanish, so bear with me. I'm trying my best.
We are also
here.
not fluent in English, if you haven't noticed
fluent
already.
in any language.
Right.
So located in Arequipa, Peru, sits one of the most beautiful monastery that I've ever laid eyes on. And have I been there? No. But have I laid eyes on them on Google Pictures?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So basically,
I've been there. It's gorgeous.
Google Maps says.
But of course, beauty pays a price. And that price was becoming one of the most famous haunted attractions in Arequipa, Peru.
Wow.
Arequipa is the second largest city in Peru and is known as the legal capital of Peru. The city is filled with churches and temples and chapels and convents and monasteries, including one that I'm going to be talking about today, the monastery of Santa Catalina de Siena, Arequipa.
What? Damn, bitch.
I hope I did that right. Thank you. Also located in the city of Arequipa is the well-known Juanita the Ice Mummy.
What?
And I have to sidetrack and put my actual segment on hold because I have to tell you guys about this.
I have to hear everything about it.
So Mummy Juanita is a well-preserved frozen body of a girl from the Inca Empire who was killed as a human sacrifice to the Inca gods sometime between 1440 in 1480. And you probably know this story
Yes.
from National Geographic.
No, I learned it on TikTok 3 days ago.
Shut up.
Yes, I swear to God, 3 days ago.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Well, it is her discovery was and is one of the top 10 discoveries in the world according to Time magazine.
I mean, yeah.
Which is literally insane.
Insane.
So Juanita was somewhere between the ages of 12 and 15 when she was sacrificed to the Inca gods. She was discovered in 1995 when two people were venturing up Mount Amparo found a bundle in a crater that had fallen from an Inca site on the summit. This crater had fallen because of recent ice melt and erosion from a recent volcano eruption. So when these two venturers went to take a closer look at this bundle, they realized it wasn't just a bundle at all, but it was the frozen body of a preserved young girl.
Wow.
Everything was almost perfectly preserved. Her internal organs, her hair, her blood, her skin, and the contents of her stomach.
What the shit? That is
With
crazy.
her, I know. With her, they found numerous offerings to the Inca gods like llama bones, small figurines, and pottery. And actually, I read that it was like, so where the crater had fallen, there was more like offerings that were strung along the mountain that were just buried in.
What?
That you could see like still in the mountain, but with her this is what they found.
Damn.
Yeah. She was in a cloth material that only the elite were known to have back then. And the clothes resemble those elite from Cusco, which is aka the Inca capital.
Yeah.
Archaeologists believe that she came from this noble and wealthy Cusco family. Juanita was quickly transported to Arequipa to prevent thawing of her preservation. Her body was then transported to the United States for a CT scan in 1996 and more studies. And then it was also sent to Japan for even more studies and to be put on exhibition in 1999.
Whoa.
With this, all these studies, they were able to analyze the contents of her stomach, revealing her last meal before her sacrifice was animal protein and maize. Guys, this is 600 years ago.
That is insane.
That they're looking into this girl's stomach
and they're seeing
insane.
what she's eating.
Yeah. Which again made archaeologists believe that she was from an elite family because the standard diet for like the population, like your common day people in the Inca Empire, was only vegetables. And she had animal protein in her, so she was wealthy. Yeah. Through extracting DNA and testing her hair, they noticed that the final 6 to 8 weeks of her life, so that's almost 2 months,
right,
consisted of heavy use of drugs and alcohol.
Wow.
They found coca or erythroxylon coca, which is the source of cocaine.
Oh, okay.
And they found chicha alcohol, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced those. For a child Juanita's age, this would have created a highly intoxicated psychological state that she would have been in for 2 entire months.
Whoa.
And markers in her hair showed that higher levels of these compounds, they showed higher levels of these compounds prior to her death. So like right before she died, meaning that she was probably in a state of like near unconsciousness.
What the
Because they were
fuck?
drugging her.
And she was from an elite family.
Yeah. So radiologist Elliot Fishman concluded that her cause of death was blunt trauma to the head. Juanita had a cracked right eye socket and a 2-inch fracture in her skull that would resemble like someone hitting you hard with a baseball bat.
Okay.
This caused a massive hemorrhage, filling her skull with blood and pushing her brain to one side. Death by trauma to the gods was not uncommon when sacrificing a child in this era. The ritual sacrifice that took Juanita's life was called the capicocha, and it was a key component to the Inca Empire. This ritual, aka sacrifice of a child, was used for celebration events, like an annual or biennial event to the Inca calendar, death of an emperor, the birth of a royal son, or even a battle victory. But it was also used to prevent natural disasters like volcanic eruptions and droughts, earthquakes, and even like health epidemics.
Wow.
So they would sacrifice
Children
from wealthy families.
What the fuck?
During these events or preventions, not celebratory, but more so preventions, the Inca rulers would order boys and girls between the age of 12 to 16 to offer up to sacrifice themselves for the good of the Inca Empire.
And they would just like volunteer to be a sacrifice.
So they said, but I'm sure it's a little more to that.
Yeah.
Especially thinking of a 12-year-old girl. I don't know.
I don't get it, but I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what they thought. They truly thought that shit, you know?
Right. Currently, Juanita the Ice Mummy has been on display in the Catholic University of Santa Maria's Museum of Andean Sanctuaries in Arequipa, Peru.
Wow.
So it brings a lot of people to this city.
Yeah.
Juanita does.
Yeah.
The population in the city is 83.3% Catholic, making it a perfect spot for a convent. About 40 years after the city was founded, Viceroy Francisco Toledo was informed by the Council of Canons about their wish to fund a convent in the city. So the Viceroy gave them all the necessary licenses they would need to build such a convent, and this became the founding of the private convent of the Sisters of the Order of St. Catherine of Siena.
Cool.
The licensing, though, the licensing, though, sat around for quite some time until September 10th, 1579, when this young, rich widow, her name was Dona Marie de Guzman, founded the monastery. It was gorgeous, and it was built with white stone from the Chachini volcano.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is, I'm sure. How much does that go for?
I would
like it.
Yeah, I would like that to be my dining room table.
Yes, thank you. That looks gorgeous.
It had this colonial architecture, including plazas and fountains and courtyards, cobblestone streets, and really colorful and bright and vibrant walls and buildings.
That's so beautiful.
It is beautiful. And again, this is in the 1500s. So to have stuff like that is remarkable.
Yeah.
Each nun at the monastery had a private room. And so, okay, I thought for the longest time that, I don't want to be offensive here, that monasteries were for monks and convents were for nuns. And I may be wrong, but this is called monastery. So I'm sorry if I'm offending. Right?
I don't think that's offensive. I think that you're just asking a question that's legitimate, because I thought similarly.
Like convents were for nuns and monasteries were the names of like temples for monks and stuff.
Yeah, I thought that too, but maybe it was just so long ago that we were taught that. I mean, hell, yeah. I don't think I think that was like middle school, you know?
Yeah.
That we just, I mean, hell.
Yeah, I don't know.
We've watched plenty of movies about these.
Yeah. I specifically think of, I don't know why my mind goes to horror, but I specifically think of the movie The Nun.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And I'm like, convent. It's
that's
a
what
convent.
I thought too. Well,
and then I'm thinking of Karate Kid. And it's a monastery. No, really though.
Maybe it doesn't have to do with who is inside as much as the way it's
maybe
built.
It's like the architecture of it.
Maybe, or like maybe what its service is,
or like
the role of it.
The role of it, yeah, maybe.
You know, maybe we should look it up.
Yeah, I want to look it up.
Yeah. Okay, so you learn something new every day.
We looked it up.
So what we believe from what we can like understand from this explanation that's given online, it says that a convent derives from Old French and the Latin term of conventus, and it's a verb of like convene. And so it's like the place where they all come together and have community. Whereas a monastery is technically a secluded community where the nuns and the monks live within themselves. And it has something to do with a canons regular, which is a clergy of the Catholic Church. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And that makes, calling this a monastery makes a lot of sense, because we will find out here that it's very, very secluded.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
I'm glad I learned that
Thanks for going
today.
on that education little
I'm
journey
really
with
glad
us.
I learned that.
Me too.
That's a good thing.
We probably
to know.
sounded like dumb dicks before. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, probably.
I'm glad we learned that.
That's a good piece of knowledge now.
Yes, thank you guys.
So it was beautiful. Each nun had their own private room, which was like kind of unheard of. And the area outside was just covered with like flowers everywhere, great landscaping, lemon trees. Like it was gorgeous.
Oh my God.
Those who were wealthier had bigger beds and like gorgeous lace sheets, silk curtains, fine china. And some rooms even had 2 ovens. And again, this is the 1500s.
2 ovens?
Yeah. But this monastery quickly became a city within a city, and it was hidden and sheltered away behind walls. At the time, it was only open and only accepted young women from the upper class families. During this century, it was tradition for the first daughter to marry for money, the second daughters to marry the church, and the third daughters had a little bit of a choice between the two, but more so pushed towards marrying for money.
Oh.
If you were the second born daughter of a wealthy family, your entire life was service to the church. And it really wasn't up for discussion.
Oh my God, poor Lola.
Poor Lola. I'm the second daughter.
Poor you and Lola. Me and Phoebe are cashing the fuck out.
Yeah. What the heck? It was like considered like an advantage for these families to have a family member regularly pray for them and forgive their sins and like just have someone so like involved with the church.
Right.
But this type of salvation was not cheap by any means. A daughter's entry to the Santa Catalina Monastery cost 2,400 silver coins, which would be $150,000 today.
Holy shit.
Yeah. A lot of dollar bills.
Oh my God.
And that didn't include the cost of bringing your servant, which was required as they were responsible for cooking and cleaning for the nuns that lived there. So the family also had to pay for their they had to pay for their daughter, and then they also had to pay for the servant that their daughter took with her.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder how much that rate was.
I know. I'm curious to know too. In order for these girls to be accepted, or when they were accepted, they were indicated so by wearing this black veil, and they had to accept the duty of the daily recitation of the divine office. They basically lived and they died at the monastery, and they were not ever permitted outside of the walls.
What?
They performed religious duties like sewing elaborate vests for the priests, the bishops, the cardinals, and any other like public religious official that would visit them. And they were not allowed to speak to men except for the bishop. Even when family members came to visit, like including their father, the girls had to speak through these like darkened, thick set of like wooden gates so that the family members could not touch, hug, or even like really see them.
Wow.
Like the holes between the fences were just so little.
That's so sad.
Yeah. At the largest point, there were about 150 nuns and 300 servants living in this walled-off city.
Well, you know what? I bet it also was like a privilege to be there.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah, for sure.
It is like sad when you think about like the details of it.
But over the years, the girls were becoming a little less nun-like and a little more Paris Hilton.
Wow.
They felt trapped. They felt like they didn't choose this life and their families chose this life for them. So they began treating the monastery as this wealthy girl retreat.
Oh.
They were drinking. They were dancing. Some may have strayed away from their vow of abstinence.
Ladies.
So this word got around that this monastery was out of control, and the nuns were not reflecting this life of patience and prayer, that this was becoming more of a social club of wealthy daughters that were enjoying like the fineries of life rather than a religious convent. And this word traveled all the way to the Pope.
Oh my God.
Pope Pius IX, or Pius. I'm sorry. So sorry. Pius.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who was the snitch?
Who snitched to the Pope? We are in Peru.
I mean,
the Pope doesn't need to know a single thing about our lifestyle.
Like, someone shut the
Let
fuck up.
us live.
Like, first off, they're probably still doing their duties so they don't get caught. Like, if they're doing it, if they're having a good time while they do it.
And from my understanding, it was like the servants that were the biggest like issue.
Really?
Because they were like the bad influences.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Because they were probably a lot out of the walls. They were probably sleeping with the girls and...
Well, that's what I was about to ask. Like, are they all, like, do they all have to be female servants? Like, I wonder.
I don't think so.
Whoa.
Yeah. So in 1871, after the Pope got word, he decided to send a very strict Dominican nun named Sister Cadena to get just a little bit of order and to reform the monastery. Sister Cadena, when she got there, she immediately, the first thing she did was send all of the money from the admissions, like the dowries that the fathers paid for their daughters to be there, to be fed, to, you know, to live comfortably. I don't know why I said that. She sent all the money back to Europe, to the Vatican, to the Pope.
Bro, ma'am.
First thing she did. She collected all the money and she sent it away.
Why?
She then freed all of the servants, and she gave them a choice of either remaining as nuns or leaving.
Okay.
So the female nuns or the female servants, you can either stay as a nun or you have to go. But you're no longer a servant. Like, you cannot be here unless you are a nun.
Okay.
The nuns were stripped of their possessions, and the private bedrooms were closed and eventually replaced with dormitories that were a little more fitting for a religious life of poverty.
Oh my
Because
God.
you're not supposed to bask in money.
Yeah.
And these girls, like, they were allowed to bring, I think it was 27 items. So they were bringing fine china and silk curtains and like just living life.
They were wilding out.
I love them.
That is so whack.
Contact with the outside world was strictly forbidden. And the monastery then reinforced its anti-fornication and pro-flagellation stance.
I mean, it was kind of there the whole time. They just were saying, fuck it.
Yeah. So behind these locked doors and high walls, the nuns lived and they died.
Damn.
By the late 1800s, without all of the substantial dowries of the wealthy nuns, the monastery was facing a really difficult time.
Yeah.
The nuns were having to put in more work, even like maintenance work, to accommodate with the minimal funds that they had because their money was gone, sent to the Vatican. By the 1970s, civil code, the city, required them to install electricity and running water. This is the 1970s. So up until the 70s, they had no water. They had no electricity. It was candles. They had a, what's that thing called where you would go and get your water?
A well?
A well.
Yeah.
They had a well. So yeah, he's enforcing that they needed to install electricity and running water to meet the demands of modern life. But with the funds that they had, they were unable to comply. Therefore, the remaining nuns elected to open the majority of the monastery to the public.
Okay.
And this was huge because for over 400 years, nobody had seen what was behind those walls.
Right.
Making it like Arequipa's biggest tourist attraction. Mm-hmm. Entrance fees today are $14.50 with an English language tour. This continues to pay the monastery's maintenance costs for the remaining 21 nuns that live there. So from 150 to 21. The nuns that do reside there, they live in this really restricted, off-limits area to visitors.
Yeah.
And it's a very small complex within the monastery. But they are also now free to leave the grounds and go out in public, and, you know, they're not so secluded. Of course, this such shielded community from the public was going to start some speculation. Mm-hmm. So rumors started to flow. It was rumored, and this rumor actually was not like brand new whenever they opened the monastery. This was going on for quite some time. It was rumored that vampires disguised as nuns and priests would leave through this secret door. They would stalk these unsuspecting night travelers and would drain their blood. So whether that rumor means that the people inside the monastery were these vampires, right, or I don't know what it means, but...
Or they're hiding vampires underneath the monastery?
Yeah.
Well, guys, Patreon, we know a lot about vampires now, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
They just listen to it.
We love vampires.
Yeah.
People on night visits say that you can see shadows from the moonlight of nuns, like walk, because again, there's no electricity. So
right,
at nighttime in these tours, they stay open really late. It just has the moonlight and it has some candles. And I actually do think outside there's like street light candles, like street lights, but candles or battery powered, maybe. I don't know.
It's probably the flame ones.
Or like solar powered now.
Yeah.
I bet it's solar.
Probably.
So they say that when the moonlight's shining against these like bright colorful walls, they see the shadows of nuns like walking across the walls.
That is cool,
yeah,
but like also so terrifying.
Yeah, and again, there's no one following the shadow, so you're like, where is that shadow coming from?
Oh my God.
Visitors have reported feeling somebody grasp a hold of them when they visit into the nuns' private room sectors, and they were believing that they were trying to like escape through the visiting guests, like they're stuck there in this whatever we would decide the afterlife would be, or the in-between would be, and these visitors are coming in the room, they're trying to like get out with them.
Damn, that's awful.
It was also rumored that if and when, and this is rumored to have happened, a nun got pregnant, she was forced to give up her child, whether unborn or born is not known, and the baby was then catacombed into the walls of the monastery. And they know this because there were bones in the wall.
More no way.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And so another version of this was that the nuns were hiding their babies when they were born into the walls.
Yeah,
so that they didn't get caught.
Yeah, that's really horrific.
Yeah. So just venturing into the city within walls, it can be eerie in itself because it literally is transporting you back 400 years ago with the architecture, the furniture, etc. It's almost always empty. So it gives that abandonment feeling, yet everything is in really pristine condition. The flowers are watered, the floors are clean, but there's no one there. So it gives off this really eerie vibe.
Yeah.
Because it's like almost if everyone just left at once. You know those pictures that you see that are like super eerie of like cities and towns where it's like
abandoned.
It's abandoned. That's the word I'm looking for. Goodness gracious.
Okay.
At night you have the moonlight and the candles, and you can just feel the emptiness. The sounds of bells and chimes just surround you, and it's literally like this giant time capsule that you get to walk into.
That's so cool.
People have reported hearing the creaking of the old doors to turn around and see it opened with nobody there.
Oh shit.
They say that the candles will blow out themselves, and you walk around with like these cold spots hitting you. And I actually got onto YouTube and I found these two guys, and they're actually really funny. These two guys that were vlogging their visit to the monastery, and I didn't think this was funny. I think this was kind of cruel, but they were walking around. One was like, we should go around and blow out all the candles, and then they would have to come and relight them, and then we'll blow them out again.
Oh my
and
God,
they
that's
did.
mean. No,
that's
they didn't.
mean.
They actually did.
Yeah, they actually did. It's on video.
That's an intrusive thought. Like, that's just something you don't do.
Yeah, that's like, what if we? Wouldn't it be funny,
Jacob? Wouldn't it be funny if we blow out all these candles and then we drink a glass of milk and then they all lit back up?
And they all lit back up. That would be crazy.
That'd be so crazy.
Yeah. So there's also this one area in the monastery, and it's this giant room with like many little preserved bits. They have paintings that date back to the 1500s, and these paintings are of nuns that look like they are sleeping, but they are dead.
Oh.
Like they're dead in the paintings. Like they're painting a dead nun.
Oh, wow.
But it's like depicted like they're sleeping. They also have on display a heart in a jar.
Whoa.
I'm not sure the significance of this, but it's very odd.
Ooh.
Like it's in a jar as if a pickled cucumber was in a jar and becoming a pickle.
And it's just like in the middle?
Just in the middle of this art gallery room. And it's like deep underneath the ground, so it's like really like creepy.
That's creepy.
They also have this statue of this nun that looks to have these like glazed white eyes with like tiny black pupils. And another painting depicts a nun praying with 7 swords stabbed into her heart, which I think would be the seven deadly sins. Yeah. Hundreds of other pieces of art from the 1700s and even earlier. Like I'm talking dozens of just priceless paintings. Like these are so old and so antique, and they probably go for a lot of dollar bills.
I mean, they probably go in a fucking museum.
Yeah. People have felt in the hallways of paintings, like when so I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like this big giant T shape, and they have it roped off like each foot on each side of the room, but it is just painting after painting. And they're these big, gorgeous paintings, like, you know, maybe like
huge.
a 4x6, like huge.
4x6,
like
yeah.
they're big paintings. And people say when they walk down these hallways, because there's no lights, there is lights, there's candles, but like that they just feel these eyes just
staring
like,
at them
from all directions. And another thing that those two guys said in their YouTube video was that when they did their tour down there, well, when they were above ground, you know, there was probably 45 people there with them, but when they were down there was never anyone there. And I guess a lot of people say that like, I don't know why it's always just ends up being you alone down there by the pictures.
That's so odd. Maybe there are other people and you just can't
see them. Yeah. Each visitor says it's an eeriness that you really just can't put into words. You always feel watched, followed, and it can be hard to breathe. With all of that aside, though, it is the most gorgeous thing that they have ever seen, being able to just transport back in time into such just like, I mean, it's just so well preserved. I just don't know how to say. So I have a couple pictures for you.
Oh, okay.
I just want you to kind of just like go through them. So like this is one of the nuns' like private beds.
Wow, look at that cross. It looks so creepy.
I know it does look creepy, but like look at how good that fabric is.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
It's beautiful, and it's so bright and gorgeous.
Yeah. It's just like very vibrant, like
Oh
walkways.
my God.
Like you can see just how tall the buildings are.
Yeah, they're
you know
huge.
what I mean?
Guys, that's what the street that I lived on in Spain when I was over looked like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
The blue.
They have the volcano behind them.
Oh my God, this is stunning.
Yeah, and this is on a lot of
What does that say?
archways. Silencio, silent.
Oh, okay,
like
yeah.
demanding silence.
Wow. That's really cool.
Just another picture down then in the area.
Wow, guys, the blues, the colors are so
It's like a
vibrant.
cobalt is that the right color? Cobalt blue.
Yeah,
like that's
is.
what it looks like.
It's like an ocean blue. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway, that is the Santa Catalina Monastery.
Wow.
And a little bit of the ice mummy.
Well, first off, thanks. I loved it so much. And I loved being able to learn a lot of that. I don't know why I don't know so much, you know?
Yeah, so hopefully we could educate some people. While we're educating ourselves, I hope that we could educate you as well.
Yes.
And also be able to share, I know it is a haunting, but that is the podcast, but to be able to share like that piece of culture is.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've never even heard of it before.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. I feel like that should be like somewhere. Like, I don't know, like I want paintings of that in my house. Like it's stunning.
I would literally have that red one or the blue like on a wall.
The red hallway.
Yeah.
Oh my God, in a painting.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll just print it out.
Votes for out, it's going right there.
Yeah, it's going right there. Just give us some color, a pop of color. It's gorgeous.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much, Morgan.
I don't know about you, but I am constantly overwhelmed by the amount of choices we have in our daily lives. Like, really, though, why do we need 500 different types of brands of cereal, toilet paper, hairspray, and makeup? There are so many options, it's even hard to choose what works best for you, especially when it comes to skincare.
And our Patreons know that about 2 weeks ago, when I went to the store and I was trying to find some good eye cream and moisturizer to go to Denver, I ended up doing tons of research on what types of products I would need to keep my face from drying and breaking out. But by the time I walked out of that store, I was 10 more times confused than when I was walking in, and my wallet was completely empty. And if we're going to be real, aka always, only 2 of the 9 products that I bought worked, while the other ones broke me out even more. I was so excited to get home and use my Apostrophe products that actually work for me. And this is why we are so excited to partner with Apostrophe as a sponsor of this episode.
Apostrophe is an online platform that connects you with an expert dermatology team to get customized acne treatment for your unique skin. Through Apostrophe, you can get access to oral and topical medications that use clinically proven ingredients to help clear acne.
Simply fill out an online consultation about your skin goals and medical history, then snap a few selfies, and a board-certified dermatologist will create your first customized treatment plan. Apostrophe offers access to treatments for all types of acne, from hormonal acne to facial acne and even backne, chestney, and butt acne. They treat breakouts from head to toe.
One thing that I've really been working on outside of my redness is giving my face this hydrated, even-toned, and young glow. My Apostrophe provider not only sent products directly to my door to help with this, but recommended great and affordable products for me to use. So far, with my new routine, my skin feels fresh, hydrated, and gives me the confidence that I need to be on camera for you all.
Which is a lot. We need a lot of confidence for that.
I do.
We have a special deal for our audience. Get your first visit for only $5 at apostrophe.com/creepsandcrimes when you use our code creepsandcrimes. That's a savings of $15. This code is only available for our listeners.
To get started, just go to apostrophe.com/creepsandcrimes and click begin visit. Then use our code creepsandcrimes at sign up and you'll get your first visit for only $5. Thank you, Apostrophe, for sponsoring this episode.
Okay, so I'm actually really excited to share this case with you guys because though it is sad, like it is such a beautiful story and it's just like such a good story to hear. And I actually heard this back in 2021, like early 2021. And the first time I read about it was actually in the New York Post, which I'm going to go back to here in a second. But then I heard it when Christine covered it on And That's Why We Drink. And I was driving to Sweetwater, Tennessee.
For what?
I don't know. I was driving to the courthouse and I was driving.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going to the Lost Sea of Adventures.
No.
That I've been to 8 times.
Someone was with me and I think it might have been Nikki, but she had to drop something off in Sweetwater. Oh my God, it was when she used to work at the law office. And every time she'd have to take long drives like that, I'd be like, here, just let me drive so I can listen to a podcast. It was right after I got fired.
Yeah.
So I was just dying to do anything. Anyways, so that was the first time I like listened to it on a podcast. And just the way that Christine told it was just like so beautiful. And I so wanted to do it. So I decided to wait for as long as I could, but it's just been itching at me. So this was the perfect time to share this story with you guys. So I want to give you my sources, even though we haven't done this in a super long time, as they are very limited on this case. And these pieces that I have used are so well written and researched. And it's just so important also to pay credit to these journalists who put all this time and work into digging up these details and interviewing people, and they work on these for years sometimes. So first and foremost, the New York Times reporter Azam Ahmed, he literally wrote the most informative and detailed and well-researched piece I have ever read on this case on December 13th, 2020, and it was updated on January 12th, 2021. And that was when I actually read it, and then a few weeks later is when Christine covered it.
No way.
And this is where a lot of my research came from, was this New York Post piece. New York Times. And then next, a lot of my research came from the Next True Crime Edition article, Jet Set Times article by Allison H., and a Medium article that is by Josie K., solidarityus.org article, and an amazing piece that was written by the BBC by Will Grant, their reporter.
I really love medium.com.
Oh my God, I love Medium. I have an account just so I can get on there and read people's stuff.
Can I get access to that?
Oh my God, it's through our Creeps and Crimes.
Oh, I need to get the login.
Yeah, it's through Creeps and Crimes.
Because they're always like,
you're done.
You're
Yeah,
done.
you're done.
I'm like, what? I've had it open for 3 hours.
This is a locked piece. And I'm like, I have to get into it. So yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. Okay, so on January 23rd, 2012, in San Fernando, Mexico, which is 85 miles away from Brownsville, Texas, and it is unfortunately known for experiencing the two largest recorded massacres of the Mexican drug war. And the first one is known as the 2010 San Fernando Massacre, which occurred following a gunfight between Mexican authorities and the drug cartel gunmen. And after this gunfight, authorities began patrolling this nearby area, which is where like this part of the cartel was living and operating at. And they discovered this ranch that was super remote that they had been operating on, where they found 72 bodies. They were piled on top of each other in a single room.
What?
58 men and 14 women, all of which were believed to be attempting to cross into the U.S. border when they were kidnapped by the Los Zetas cartel and were killed for refusing to do work for them. Officials seized 21 rifles, 101 ammunition clips, 4 bulletproof vests, camo uniforms, and 4 vehicles from this ranch. Just 1 year later, in 2011, the second massacre of San Fernando took place. This mass murder of 193 people was once again at the hands of the Los Zetas at the La Jolla Ranch in this area. Authorities were investigating this area as a result of numerous reportings of hijackings of passenger buses on Mexican Federal Highway 101 between March and June of 2011. Authorities exhumed 139 corpses from 8 mass graves.
Oh my gosh, dude.
So before we move forward, I want to discuss Los Zetas. So this is regarded as one of the most dangerous of Mexico's drug cartels. Now, they are known for being brutally violent, for drug trafficking, sex trafficking, gun running rackets, protection rackets, assassinations, kidnapping, extortion, and much more.
Wow.
The origins of Los Zetas dates back to the 90s when commandos from the Mexican army deserted their ranks and began working as enforcement for the Gulf cartel. And it was in 2010 that they broke away from the Gulf cartel and began their own independent organization, meaning in 2012, Los Zetas, their influence and their crime was at an all-time high. On January 23rd, 2012, Karen Rodríguez was working with her mother at their family's business in San Fernando. When she was running an errand in her family's work pickup truck, she was preparing to merge lanes into traffic when 2 trucks pulled up on either side of her and stopped. Armed men jumped out of these trucks and broke into hers and drove off with her in it. They then drove Karen to her family's home and laid her on her living room floor, bound and gagged, as they ransacked the entire home. And then there was a knock at the door. It was Karen's uncle. He was a mechanic and had stopped by to do the work that he had promised on the family's truck. The kidnappers then bound her unsuspecting uncle and fled with him and Karen from the family's home. Now,
I'd be like, why me? Why me? Why me?
right. And now some reports say that it has, this guy was more of a family friend than he was like an actual uncle, but they thought of him as an uncle. So some will say like the family friend, others will say the uncle. So when Karen's mother, Miriam, learned of what had happened to her daughter and her friend, she set up a sit-down meeting with a cartel member to beg for him to release her daughter. And she and her husband were sitting down face to face with this member who insisted that they had no idea of what happened to Karen, that the cartel did not have her, but he offered to help track her down for $2,000. And when I say cartel, I mean he was working with Los Zetas. Meanwhile, through this meeting, the man's walkie-talkie was like constantly squawking on and off, and there was like chatters on the radio. When Miriam heard the man's name as someone had called him, and his name was Sama, and you would typically not know their name. Like they would either not have a name or it would be a fake name they would give. So this was really big. So Miriam was actually able to get a loan for the $2,000 needed to help track down Karen and handed it over to Sama. And actually banks were like doing this very frequently at this point in time as their kidnappings were at like an all-time high. And so they were able to like get the money in a day.
Do you think that the cartels are like partnered with the banks?
Probably, because they have these ransom things that they give out and the bank can give it to you in a day and hand it over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was able to get this money and she handed it over to Sama. But after a week, he stopped answering all calls, which is when the other members called claiming to have both Sama's money and Karen. And they instructed Miriam that for Karen's return, they would need an additional $500 handed over. And Miriam gave it to them. A few weeks later, with no further response from these new members, Miriam told her older daughter, Azalea, who she was living with at the time as her and her husband had separated, that she knew Karen was never coming back and she was likely dead already, telling Azalea that she would not rest until she found Karen's kidnappers. She would hunt them down, every single one of them, until the day she died. And Miriam meant that. With every God-fearing bone in her body, every ounce of pain that only a mother could feel, every particle in her soul, Miriam would find them and she would make them pay. Not by killing them, but by getting her daughter justice and fighting for other kids who were abducted by the Los Zetas. Around the same time, the family friend or uncle that was abducted with Karen was actually released. And he was able to give Miriam more than hope. He was able to give her detailed descriptions of what every single person who had abducted them looked like and where they went, and confirmed that Sama was with the group who had abducted Karen. So Miriam began her investigation, digging into who Sama was, finding his real names, his fake names all over social media, using image searches to find him. She went in the depths of the internet. And she ended up finding him on Facebook. His profile picture was him and a woman who was wearing the uniform of workers at a local ice cream shop that was in Victoria, which was 2 hours away. So Miriam jumped in her car and she drove the 2 hours and sat outside of this ice cream shop for weeks discreetly, waiting for Sama to show up and visit his girlfriend. And he finally did.
Nuh-uh.
Miriam carefully followed them to their home and wrote down the address before returning to her home. There, she changed her entire appearance. She cut her hair, she colored it, she did her makeup differently, and she put on her old health ministry uniform out of the boxes that were in her basement to use as a disguise. She spent the next few days canvassing the neighborhood, asking all of Sama's neighbors to participate in this local survey. Once Miriam had gathered enough information on Sama, she took every single thing that she had to all levels of law enforcement. But one after another, they turned her away until one federal policeman was ready and willing to help her. He said that after all the work that she had done, it would be his greatest privilege in his career to aid her in seeking justice for her daughter. They issued a warrant for his arrest, Sama, but he was nowhere to be found. But Miriam's son, Louis, who had actually moved away from San Fernando to escape this violence, was working at this store nearby that ice cream shop. And one evening, he was closing up his shop and he saw Sama across the street from him. So he took a quick picture and immediately sent it to the officers and to his mother. And that night, September 15th, 2014, Sama was arrested. It didn't take long for the authorities to get a lot of information out of him. They were able to get names and details about all of those people who were involved in Karen's abduction. And one of the names that he had given up was 18-year-old Christian Jose Zapata Gonzalez. Police were able to track him down and bring him in for questioning. Sitting outside the interrogation room was actually Miriam. The 18-year-old asked for his mother multiple times and told officers that he was hungry over and over, asking when he could go home, and Miriam felt empathy for him. He was still literally a child, so she walked in the room and gave him her lunch. It was a Coke and a piece of fried chicken with some sides. When officers asked her why she did this, according to the New York Times article, she said, quote, "He is still a child, no matter what he did, and I am still a mother," end quote.
No.
Made me want to cry. Because of Miriam's kindness, he was able to tell officers and Miriam everything. And he even offered to take them to the ranch where Karen and many others were killed and buried. It was a part of a large kidnapping ring, the same ranch where that gunfight had taken place. Miriam and the others walked around this abandoned ranch, picking through all of the belongings that had been just left behind. Along with these were bones, bloodstains, and even a noose hanging from a nearby tree.
Gosh.
They just began picking through all of these piles of belongings. Miriam and her son Louis were searching through all of it, just keeping an eye out for belongings of Karen's, but also the belongings of missing women and men from their area that were in their support group with them, who Miriam had been looking out for and promised to also fight for while she fought for Karen. She had made this whole organization and did all of this legwork for them.
That is fucking remarkable.
Right. So they're looking through all of this and she's keeping an eye out. She has pictures of all the things that these other individuals had given her. And she froze because what she had picked up was a scarf and right beside it was a seat cushion. They were from Karen's car. Forensic agents searched through all of the bones and remains, and it took them an entire year to find a piece that belonged to Karen, and it was a piece of a femur, which DNA linked to her. But on that day in 2014, when she had discovered her daughter's scarf and seat cushion, Miriam and her son were on their way home, leaving that ranch, and they were driving by all these restaurants. And one of these restaurants was one that she had eaten with her other daughter, Azalea, at just 2 days after Karen's kidnapping. Thinking about how close she was to her daughter in that moment, almost made her sick. So she began just kind of reminiscing on this day. I was literally right down the road from her. We did this and we did that. And it just kind of felt like a blur to her. And then she's kind of walking through it. And she's like, okay, so we walked in, and seated at a table nearby was this girl. And she was by herself sipping a soda. And it was someone that Miriam knew very, very well. It was a little girl from her neighborhood. Well, she wasn't a little girl anymore. She was a full-grown adult, but her name was Elvia Betancourt. That day, Miriam had stopped by Elvia's table to say hello, and the two chatted for a little bit before Miriam asked if she had heard about what had happened to Karen. And at this point, everyone knew about Karen's abduction because fucking Miriam made sure of it. She was out here in the streets doing fucking the Lord's work, right? But Elvia was like, no, I hadn't heard what happened. She was shocked, and Miriam explained everything. Well, that day, Miriam had found this odd, but she really didn't think much of it until she was driving past this restaurant again.
Especially someone in the neighborhood.
Right.
Like, you're going to know.
Exactly. So this didn't really hit Miriam until 2 years later when she realizes all of this. And it dawns on her. Elvia knew something. That's exactly how she lied when she was a younger girl. Miriam was so fucking hurt to even think this about Elvia because Miriam had taken care of her from a very young age. She literally gave her all of her daughter's clothing, shelter, food after Elvia's mother had abandoned her. So when Miriam got home, she wasted no time at all of the digging that she was good at. So she got into Elvia's social medias, and Elvia was dating one of the men who had kidnapped Karen. And he was best friends with Sama and Christian. So,
are you kidding? Wait, how old was she when she was dating? She's dating them currently, or she was dating at the time?
She was dating him at the time of the abduction. I don't know if I do know they were currently dating. Yes. But this boyfriend, he was currently in prison, which is why like Miriam didn't have to worry about him because he was one that was named to be involved with Karen's kidnapping. So she didn't ever have to worry about him because he was in prison for an unrelated crime. So when Miriam found out which prison he was at, she pulled the fuck up.
Hell yeah.
And she sat outside every day for weeks waiting for Elvia to finally pull up at visiting hours. When Miriam spotted her,
Miriam loves to
she loves to stalk.
A stakeout.
She loves it. She loves it. So when Miriam spotted her, she immediately called the officer she had been working with who was waiting nearby. And they pulled up and arrested Elvia and brought her in for questioning. They later learned that many of the ransom calls to Miriam's house from the second members after Sama, they were from Elvia's home.
Shut up.
And Elvia had more details on the names, even more so than what the other two had shared.
Yeah, because the girl's going to break. That's
right.
One thing. I'd break.
Oh my God. I'd be like, okay, this is everything I know, but don't say you heard it from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pinky
swear. So some of Karen's kidnappers were dead. Some were in jail and some had started new lives. And one of these was Enrique Flores. He was now a born-again Christian. Like all the others before, Miriam tracked his ass down and she paid his grandmother a visit. Bitch went to grandma's house.
Hell yeah.
And she told the grandmother everything about what her beloved grandson, who was now a born-again Christian, had done. And the grandmother said, yeah, my grandson was a bad man and now he's trying to live a better life. He's in church. So Miriam begins attending this family's church. She becomes a member. She waited at every service until she found him. So she went to like all the services until which one he came to. So she called the police when he walked in during the ceremony or the church service. The police come in and arrest Enrique during this at this chapel. Oh my gosh.
Is that illegal?
No, apparently not. They did it. Well, maybe in the US you can't. No, you can't arrest someone on church property. Maybe
like in church?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Wow.
So they walked up into this chapel, arrested this kid, and Miriam's just standing there beside them as they do it. And churchgoers are shocked, stunned. What the hell is going on here?
Oh, yeah.
And Miriam's like leading the police officers and like pointing at him, and this is him, this is his family, arrest him. And his family is like begging Miriam for mercy. Well, according to the New York Times reporting, she laughed in front of God and everybody and said, quote, "Where was his compassion when he killed my daughter?" End quote.
Hell yes.
Miriam, literally.
Hell yes.
That is just the most fucking powerful shit ever. So obviously they
Miriam
have nothing to say.
Iconic.
Right. She hasn't. Everybody else is just stunned. They're like, okay, you know what? Never mind.
You know what? Yeah,
go.
Show no mercy.
My God. So the devil works hard, but Miriam works fucking harder. And she had gotten her justice. She continued to share her hard work, her connections, her knowledge with other victims' families. She started organizations, public campaigns. She was threatening the drug cartel fearlessly. When people asked if she was scared for what she was doing, as it was very dangerous and making her a target, she said, quote, "I don't care if they kill me. I died the day that they killed my daughter. I want this to end. I am going to take out the people who hurt my daughter, and they can do whatever they want to me, end quote. Miriam successfully had almost every person that was involved in Karen's murder and kidnapping put away in prison in the city of Victoria.
That is so impressive.
But in March of 2017, there were over 24 prisoners who somehow escaped, many including those that Miriam had put away. She was obviously terrified about this and asked the government for protection, which they agreed. And they had police officers patrolling her home and her work like hourly. And they expected Miriam to lay low. But she was like, no shot, I'm not laying low. In fact, she continued her work and did it even harder than before. She was now tracking them down again and putting them away. On Mother's Day, May 10th, 2017, Miriam, who was still recovering from a broken foot from where she had chased this woman down who was involved in Karen's abduction on foot and like rolled her ankle and it broke her foot.
Wow.
And she was sitting outside of this same woman's house because she had gotten away. So she's sitting outside this woman's house and she was literally like peeing in cups and like dumping them out. She was not leaving until the woman left this house or came to this house. So she's sitting there and she's waiting and she spots her. She immediately calls police. They arrest her and she was like, hell yeah, done. So this was at like 10:21 p.m. and Miriam starts heading home to her husband, who she had rekindled her love with now and moved back in with. She parked on the street and began walking inside, and she was using her crutches. So she was moving very slowly.
Don't tell me anymore.
It's so bad. And a white Nissan truck pulled up quietly behind her and quickly fired 13 rounds at 57-year-old Miriam. Her husband rushed outside, calling for help, but only saw the truck drive off. Miriam had succumbed to her injuries very quickly, and she was shot by many of the prison escapees. In fact, it was 4 that she had put away. She was mourned by the entire community of these people who she had helped, fought for, and given voices to, campaigned into the government for them. And even the state's governor tweeted that, which is so crazy to say, tweeted that the government will not allow the death of Miriam Rodriguez turn into yet another statistic, with authorities vowing to catch each of her killers one by one, placing a plaque in the town to honor her and her amazing work.
Wow.
And that is the story of Miriam Rodriguez, and it has been truly like the honor of my life to share her story. So thank you, Miriam, for being like a boss ass bitch.
A
like,
literal boss ass bitch. You are an iconic, powerful, brave woman. And like,
so brave. I feel like that is like, that just is so true to speak about. Like, I mean, just, it's just a perfect month to celebrate her.
Absolutely.
Because there is truly like nothing more tight-knit and powerful than family and fighting for your family. And that's something that I so I admire about Hispanic communities and families. There's such a unit together. Absolutely. And like, this is just the perfect story that so shows that, and just like how you never stop fighting for your family and you go down with them. Like that fucking Miriam.
Such a tragic ending, but honestly, like the change that she made in those years.
Mm-hmm. She didn't stop. She never stopped. Never. And she knew that she was going to die doing it. She was perfectly fine with it. She was doing that for her daughter.
I loved it.
And now her son actually continues her work.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I was reading,
scary, but good.
Yeah, I was reading about his like thoughts on it, and he was like, it's the reason why I moved away. Like, it was just dangerous. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be a part of it, but like, I will honor my mother.
Absolutely.
And everything that she had done and all the work that she had put into this. I'm not stopping now. And especially now I'm doing it for her. I'm going to track down her killers. Is really,
I love that.
a beautiful tragic
family
story.
Of hunters.
Literally. I mean, it was just
that will get it done.
Yeah, literally. They don't fuck with nobody. Literally. That was just like the coolest case. It's such an honor to cover it. And I waited for so long. I've had those like notes written out for so long.
I loved it. You did great.
Thanks so much. And guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We so love being able to honor and celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month with all of you. And I hope we did a good job. I know you know, we can't pronounce shit, and
we're sorry.
and we're really, really sorry about it.
We really did well with our pronunciations, like not that we did well speaking them, but we really tried our best to have them in our notes. So
yes,
as a guide.
Yes, absolutely. So I can't wait until next week. We're gonna get really spooky with you for one of our most highly requested cases.
Most requested. This is the one.
This is the one. Like, this is the number one in our submission portal. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening. We'll see you guys next Thursday. Love you lots.
Love you. Bye.
Mwah.